So let me do a little recap of what we did in the last session, or rather, I will check with you all what has been your takeaway and learning from these two sessions, last two sessions. Okay. Yeah, so we actually from the session 2 we started talking about the internal factors which impact compensation, and we now started looking at how to establish internal equity. That is fairness in the way we pay salaries to all the jobs within an organization. So therefore, in order to do that, we said we need to establish internal equity. That means we need to establish the worth of the job for every position in the respective organization. In order to find the worth of the job, we said we have to do job evaluation, and to do job evaluation, there are various techniques. So we talked about pay ranking, we talked about job grading, and we talked about point method. But essentially, I want to get an understanding from you all the kind of takeaway or learning you all had for the point method. So I just want to know if anybody, yeah. So how do we, how point, what is the process? What did we do? How did we go about? Because I can see one or two people who have done excellent. I mean, their assignment is also done very well. So how did we go about? Anybody? Shankar? You want to take the lead?
Yeah, so we have done the job. It started with the job evaluations where we...
The point method. We are coming directly to the... We finished job evaluation. We're talking about point method. Yeah.
So we identified what are the compensable factors.
Right.
And then we try to give a weightage to that. And then
why do we identify compensable factors? Because we want to actually break up what are those factors essentially which are contributing to the pay.
Yeah.
And as the job in terms of the position to establish the worth, the intensity, then we would know the requirement of that particular compensable factor varies from position to position.
Position to position. And
you may have the same decision making as a compensable factor, but that what we call as degree of
differentiation
or factors of scale, right? That varies. Decision making for a recruitment executive at that job, at that level, may be very, very far more simplistic as in compared to decision making for a head of the HR or head of finance. So we identified compensable factors. Then second,
difference of differentiation for each factor.
Okay, let's go on to another person. Let me see. Anybody else? Anybody? Okay, we will let Shankar do the, yeah, then?
So there was a difference of degree of differentiation that we identified. We give a weightage like which each compensable factor, how much weightage should it have, and then each factor should add all these factors should add up to 100.
100.
Yeah, and then if for each factor there is a degree of differentiation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously it, then we multiplied. Yeah, each factor we multiplied.
It's called linear regression. We were doing linear regression. Yeah. Add up everything. Then you evaluate a job and then
arrive at
how many points you want to give, not just going by vertically, horizontally, but depending on the requirement for that position.
For that particular role.
Okay? Yeah. Then you arrive at it, and then if you want to do, then when you want to design a pay structure, then you have to obviously do a pay line. And for a pay line, you need market data. Yeah. So you did market data and then do regression, and then you calculated what is that you need to pay.
Yeah. The slope line and the intercept value.
I hope that attachment which we sent it to you with, how to do linear regression was helpful to you when you were doing because that is much simplified and very, very clear. Rina, you are able to read it, that attachment, Word document, which Bilma had sent?
Ma'am, I did not open it yet.
Okay. That is a very nice document which will help you in detail as to step-by-step method as to how to
create a linear regression.
Go about. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. So without further, so in fact, you had to calculate slope value, intercept value, and then you had to calculate the what is it? The pay line salary for every position, which was very clear there. Okay. So just to show you, yeah. Who is this? Anjana. Is Anjana around? Good job, Anjana.
Anjan.
Anjan. Yeah, so sorry. Anjan. Good job. Okay. Right. Let's 90.96. R square is 96. Okay. So let's go to today's session. What are we going to cover in today?
Ma'am, I have one doubt in the assignment actually. So while I was categorizing those market salaries, the annual pay which we derived at the pay line salary into bands. So what I did was I just categorized within a difference of say 2000. So first to 15 and 17, so I categorized them into one band. But is there a trend that these many variations should be there in one band and the another variation we should take in another band? So
good question, Pratishuta, and even for others. So when you're creating the band, say for example, are you able to see Anjan's slide here?
yes.
Yes.
Huh?
Let me put her slide.
Her
Shall I
slide.
put? Huh.
Yeah, I have one more. I need one more clarification, madam. See,
Yeah, we will just finish. Is it related to this? Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, so brand wise or level wise, we cannot.
मुझे चाय चढ़ा हुआ देखना था.
Yeah. So suppose if you take the brand wise, different verticals are there. So if you consider the verticals, we cannot assess the point rating method, madam. So for example, engineering.
Nagaraj, can you please? There were some interference. Yeah. Can you now? Yeah, speak. Can you speak from the beginning? Yeah. Tell me.
See, so grading. Suppose if you consider the grading method, different verticals are different positions. Different verticals are salaries are different, madam. So we cannot consider this. Consider the pointing. Whatever we gave the pointing scale, it's not matching.
So, if I've understood your question rightly, okay, I've understood her Pratishutis, but just to give you an understanding that we are not trying to match. What you are saying is what I did in job grading, ma'am, and what I have mapped positions in job grading in grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. For example, I have put 2 or 3 positions in grade 1. Now, when I'm doing grading for point method, they are not matching. Is that what you are trying to say?
Yes, madam. Yes.
You're saying that what I did in grading, those things are not matching with the point method, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So one example, HR executive is there, and finance executive is there, and engineering clerical job also is there. So if you consider the grade 1, we cannot match the salaries in the same salary. We cannot match it.
No. Now, Nagaraj, for example, take here that the job descriptions, okay? The job description, one, when you're doing an evaluation method, the job in job grading, assuming that it has to match, sometimes what happens in job grading, it becomes difficult when you have more number of compensable factors and okay,
Yes.
you are not able to do a point method where you can assign a point value depending on the job description. You can circle and say, I will assign 30 points because that is the degree which is required. But in job grading, if you have noticed, very often you will say, hey, 50% is grade 3. 50% is here. Now, what do I do? Because you have to assign everything. Either he is in grade 1 or in grade 2 or in grade 3. Are you getting me? You had that challenge, if I'm right. Did
Yes,
you not
ma'am.
have that challenge? Because some of the descriptors fitted grade 3. Some of the descriptors fitted grade 2. Now you didn't know whether you had to put them in grade 2 or grade 3. Because then typically when you do that exercise, then you go back again to the compensation committee. Again, you use a drawing board and then you will look at thoroughly the job description. And typically what will happen, you will say, hey, is this higher requirement, a lower requirement? And then you will try to take a consensus from the committee and then you will put them accordingly either in the lower or higher. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now in point method, as you write, what we are doing, you should not think of grade method. Okay. Job grading method is different. You should not think job grades there and points are here. Don't think. This is much more objective method. Now, I can club your benefit of doubt with Pratishutis. Okay. Now, I hope everybody is seeing Anjan's data here. I don't know if I can make it. Can you see the data now?
Yes.
Okay. Now, say for example, because you have very few positions here, but yet how do you do grading method or band method from once you have calculated the point value? Got it? That's a question, Pratishuti. Okay. And from there, how do you create bands? Now, engineer 115, right? Senior engineer 132. Okay. Assistant manager 144. For example, I will say points from 100 to 150. I'll put them in. I will put them. I told you, categorization, whether it is ranking method, categorization. So I will say 100 to 150 jobs which fall from 100 to 150. I'll put them into grade 1. Okay, band 1. Now what jobs will come? Engineer, senior engineer, assistant engineer, right? Is there anyone? No, because 160 is coming in manager. Now, Pratishuti's question is, how do I know from 144 to again, if I say 200, how can I put all of them into one grade? Say, for example, there are some jobs which is higher than that. What I need to do is, what is the cutoff at 150? How many positions are coming into it? Engineer, senior engineer, assistant engineer. Now have a look at this cutoff, 144, assistant manager. Look at that cutoff position and say, hey, this job description, don't go by title. This job description, responsibilities, or again, evaluating vis-a-vis the compensable factors, are they almost similar to engineer and senior engineer? It's only that, but they're all similar jobs. Then assistant manager will get into this. But if you feel at this cutoff position, assistant manager is actually doing, say, for example, even manager is coming into this grade. For example, you have said that 100 to 160. But you'll say a manager, decision making is higher. His entire job description is more supervisory, everything. It's different. So therefore, I cannot have this guy into this. So you will make an iteration and say, no, this guy has to fall into the next grade. So for me, 100 to 150, that means only these three jobs. Now let us take 150 to 200. Who all are coming? Manager, program head. Program head. Now program head's job is totally different from program manager. Okay, then I will say, hey, but this program head has to get into the higher level. So maybe I will say that from only up to 190, I will put as the grade 2. Program head has to go into the higher level. So first I'll do a cutoff 50, 50 or 100. But thereafter, I will start taking a look at what are those jobs which have fallen into that cutoff. Are they similar jobs? Are they different jobs? Okay. Because at the first go itself, you may not have done your job evaluation also right? So you will do that. Nagaraj, have you got it now?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. I understand.
So Nagaraj, your question was, I am trying to see that in job grading, grade 1 jobs are not same as this. But now, sometimes if you want to check, you can check in grade 1, what positions did I put? Point wise, what positions came? So what is that position which has fallen out of it? Is an outlier or which came into it? Go back again. Look at the job description and see where you have actually, then it's through a committee, then you have to discuss the job description. Is it similar to the other jobs or is it different? The similarity or difference is based on what? The compensable factors, intensity, the descriptors, right? What, Nagraj?
Yes, madam.
Huh? Oh,
Yes.
okay. So you got the clarity, right?
Yes.
Pratishuti, did you get the clarity?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh? Okay. Anybody else, guys? So, if you have noticed, so you have done the, so now we are into how do we do the market data, which you all have done here, market data. Anybody who has actually worked on market data earlier, guys? So today what we are going to do is my external equity and individual equity. Okay. Now, first of all, let us look at external equity. So when we say external equity, anybody? I want some of you to, Shankar, why did you switch off your audio video here?
Yeah, I'm there, yeah, I'm listening.
Nagaraj, can we see you? You know, what will happen is it gives me energy. I also need energy, you know, like supposing I also put off only on an audio, then how will you feel? You let me know. And then I'm speaking to a wall. That is a laptop wall. No, it's like that. Okay, at least I love to see smiling faces. Okay, tell me. When I say external equity, anybody just give me a feel of it?
How the salary of one person in the job is comparable to the market for the similar position.
So, first of all, let us find out, understand what is external equity and why is it important for organization, okay, and for individuals. Now, typically, what is external equity? That means you are comparing what you are paying within your organization, vis-a-vis with similar organizations and similar jobs. What is that being paid in the market, right? For example, Pratishuti is an HR manager. She is getting 10 lakhs in a pharmaceutical company. Then she will look at other, say for example, she is working for Reddy's Labs. Then she will compare her salary with a similar size and similar kind, if it is multi-location, then multi-location, same size, and you know, also in terms of turnover, etc. And say, hey, what is the salary being paid in a similar industry? And she will say that, oh, I'm seeing that they are paying about 20 lakhs. That means twice the salary. What will happen to you, Pratishuti, when you get to know that your peers in the market for a similar job wherein they are putting the same effort are getting higher salary? What will you do? What will happen to you, first of all, psychologically?
I'll get demotivated.
So then what will you do? Demotivated, okay. I'm feeling sad today. Arey, dekho, unko zyada salary mil raha, I'm not getting much salary. What will you do then?
Then
When you get demotivated, what will happen?
my quality of work will decline.
Your behavior will change.
Yes.
Okay. Then what will you do? Your behavior, that means quality of work, mistakes
will decline.
productivity down kar loge, huh? Start looking for jobs outside, no? And when will I get the best job? 2 months, 3 months, and then even at right, once you get a good job and say you are not respecting my experience, my effort, and my quality of work and production, so I will quit and then do. Can organization then, in 500 people are there and 400 people are demotivated, can they, what will happen? Productivity down, wage cost is high. So can organization afford to have people who are demotivated? Okay, 5%. You can't satisfy everybody. 5%, 10%, okay. But by and large, you need to have satisfied workforce so that they can actually then increase your productivity, because you are paying wage cost base salary month on month. Therefore, even for organizations, what do they want to do? They want to know what is the market paying in a similar kind of a industry, so that they are able to what? Attract good talent. After attracting, they want to retain them, they want to motivate them. Okay, so it is not good enough to attract only by showing good salary you attract, but then if you don't have good culture, good processes, good job enrichment, good learning and development, people will say, hey, they are paying me, but I'm not enjoying. No, so it's all holistic. You have to combine everything. But having said that, you will see, well, salary is not the only thing which will actually, salary definitely is not the only thing which will motivate people, but it is definitely one of the key factors. You agree? It's one of the key factors. You can't say, okay, my guys, I'm going to really give you great culture, great satisfaction, everything, but your salaries are going to be 50th percentile or something like that. People are not going to work. Huh? Salary is definitely very, very key. Now, having said that, the mantra for external equity here is comparing with the right kind of market is very important, right? Because if I'm an ex-company and I'm actually comparing myself with people who are really paying very, very high salaries because they are into a different kind of a segment, then you're not comparing. So you need to compare yourself with the right kind of peers. So therefore, what is important? I'm mentioning something. Your pay policy is important. Are you getting me? What is important?
Pay policy.
Now you may ask me, what is pay policy? Please make a note of it. What is pay policy? Now, before even I start looking at the market, I should understand that typically my affordability is 60th percentile or 70th percentile or 80th percentile. Okay. Now I will explain to you guys. So when we talk about market data, we talk in terms of percentile, right? I'm sure everybody understands that when we take 10 companies, 20 companies, when we analyze, we are talking in terms of percentile. So I'll explain to you using an Excel how we do the percentile calculation. But just understand that when we talk about a pay policy, we are saying, do I want to lag the market, lead the market, or on par with the market? These are three things which we typically use. What is it? Lag, lead, on par. When I say a pay policy, that means I will say, hey, my pay policy is to lead the market. What does it mean? Anybody? Quick.
Higher than the market?
Absolutely. That means higher than the market. Again, who is my market? I will decide, no, with whom I want to compare. For example, Preeti is a, don't feel bad about it. Huh? So she will say, I want to compare myself, how good I am. Huh? So she will go and compare with some companies who are not at all doing well. And she is ranking the first. Obviously, you have, but if she's going to compare herself with some topmost people, she'll be somewhere below. But what will be the best comparator to compare herself with, depending on her position, experience and all, compare equally in which organization she's working, similar kind of a thing. So comparator is very important. Again, I'm saying comparators means with whom I compare is very important. Based on with whom I compare, then I decide on whether I want to lead, whether I want to be better than them, or whether I want to lag. That means whether I want to pay less than them, or whether I want to be on par with the market. So when you did that exercise, some of you have done, it was on par with the market. So whenever we are saying par with the market, which I'm going to teach you now, we use a term called median. So I won't use that word till I teach you. Okay. So typically, let me just show you. Let me just close this up. Okay. First of all, let me use a word and show you. Okay. So we used 3 terms. That means I'm saying LEAD, lead. Okay. Then I said lag. All right. And I said on par. Okay. So these are the 3 policies, pay policies. I can lead the market, lag the market, on par with the market. All right. Depending on where I want to position myself. Now, having said that, have a look at how does, though it is a little old, but it helps me to make you all understand very well. Before I start teaching you, I want you all to see how does a typical report, has anybody seen a report? A compensation report? You have seen, I'm sure some of you have seen. Typically, a compensation report, what does it have? It will show, the first step is benchmarked positions, means the positions you want to compare with the market. Okay, can you see a letter here? How many positions?
65.
How many?
65.
65 positions. Now in external equity, you have to understand what are benchmarked positions. When I say the step 1, which is very, very critical in external equity, is identifying benchmarked positions. So what are benchmarked positions?
Positions that need to be compared with the market or some critical identified positions.
Okay, so first step is identifying benchmarked positions which I want to compare with the market. But you will realize, just make a note of this benchmark. You will typically see that whenever you're doing external equity, you will get this benchmark positions. Now I need to have clarity on what is a benchmark position. For example, Shankar's organization, HR manager. Is it common across your competitors? Shankar?
So it depends, like
HR manager, is it not common in your peer companies?
No, madam. Different sectors are different HR manager.
No, HR manager I said.
Position is common, no?
Position is common, but
sounds common. The responsibilities could differ. Like.
But there is some position called, maybe now it is becoming cloud, a unique position in your company, some cloud computing or something. You are in a IT company, say for example, or a chip company, for example, and you have a very critical operational position which is unique to your own organization. Can you compare that with the market? Because there is no other company where you will find that. Are you with me? So for that cannot be a benchmarked position. So what can be a benchmark position? Positions which are stable and which you are able to find in other organizations. Are you getting me?
Similar organizations, madam.
When I said market, similar organization. So I'm not using again similar, but when I said peers or market, depending on your size, everything, industry, similar. If I'm into petroleum business or if I'm into a pharma business, I will look at pharma organizations, right? But there is a unique one which may not be there in any other organization. That can't be a benchmark position. Are you with me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very clear. Why? Benchmark positions, why are you saying that they are? Because you can compare, you have an apple, you will compare it with the other apples, but you have something else, a peer which you can, so you cannot compare a peer with an apple, then everything will go wrong. So benchmark positions. So now, second, how do you know benchmark positions? job descriptions have to match. An HR manager's job description has to match at least 80 to 90% with your similar industry positions. So you are not taking just title. For example, a project manager in one company of 500 crores and a project manager in a 5,000 crores company. The job description of a project manager of a 500 company will be very different from a project manager of a 5,000 company. Yes or no?
Yep.
Why? Scale, volume, value, compensable factors, degree will all be very high. Now, if I say that Nagaraj will say, I'm a project manager, and I found that, in the market, I found that I'm getting 30 lakhs and the other guy is getting 50 or 60 lakhs. Do you think it will be logical for you to compare and say, why? Because the job description is not matching. Got it? Because that is of a high scale, size, volume, value, etc. That guy is doing 10 projects. You are only handling 1 project or 2 projects. So what's very important in when you're doing a market pricing and you want to compare market data,
Job description.
to Apple. And how do you do that? By matching job description. First of all, listing out benchmark positions, then matching your job description to the jobs in the market. Is that very clear, guys? If you don't do this step 1, the entire data which you get will be a total mismatch, and you will be thinking, hey, whether I'm paying less or high, you won't know the accuracy. Got it? That's very important. Now, can you see, after having benchmarked, so here it is 65 positions. Then what will you do? You will get data. So here, how many companies' data have I taken? I mean, these Watson White people have taken
25
companies. So typically, if you see in a data, normally you may not be doing salary survey, but you may be actually getting data, right? Published data, you may buy it or you may be a participant. So there are many ways of getting data. So typically what happens, if you notice here, you can see that all this is just general gyan. Okay. So these are all those, how many positions? 65 positions into different job families. You can also call them job classification, right? Job family is nothing but what? Your functions. An HR function, a finance function, a quality function. Okay. So all these 65 positions are into various functions. So typically when you get a report like this, say from Mercer or Hewitt or what happens, you will have a list of benchmark positions categorized into various job families or job functions. Then what do? You will then say, hey, my assistant vice president, okay, how much is he paid vis-a-vis what is being showed in this market data? Are you getting me? Okay, that is how typically we do. We will come to that. So this is the second thing. Then the third thing, these are all the participating companies. Okay, like for example, this report belongs to the ITES companies or IT companies, say for example. Now, say for example, I am actually an IT company who is getting data for all the IT companies. But say for example, you are trying to get also a participant data from another chip company. Chip company is totally at a different level. They will pay much more because chip is a very, very, they need people who are of a different level of skill sets and competencies. Now, if I'm going to add that also, do you think it will have similarity with the other market data companies? No. So you have to ensure that you are using, like Nagaraj said or somebody else said, similar industries. So when I say similar industry data, what do I mean? Anybody? Only when we interact and talk, we will understand. Preeti, you want to respond to that when I said you have to get data from similar industries? For example, which company, what kind of an industry are you working?
So probably if it's a manufacturing industry, then maybe the similar companies. So for example, if it's kind of biscuit making company, then probably ITC, Britannia, I would compare. I'm not sure if since it's manufacturing, so if I can compare with pharma manufacturing or like companies like Marico and all, because they are not into, I mean, I'm just saying consumer goods.
So let's say, for example, FMCG companies. So, okay, so you will have to actually pick up FMCG companies, because for the in FMCG companies, what is that core function which typically gets paid high? Sales and marketing.
R&D.
Only if you sell, pardon? Only if you are able to sell, right? Yeah, you are saying something, Preeti.
R&D also.
Yeah, so we are coming to R&D. So you have to find out, like for example, I'm just giving you a question. Everybody has a support function like what? Finance. Everybody, has a support function like finance. Considering the fact that none of you are in a consulting company, you are into manufacturing or an IT or a pharma, etc. Now, if the guy in the finance who's a CA, chartered accountant, he tells me, ma'am, I'm a chartered accountant, so we need to be paid higher. We need to be paid like the EY or Deloitte, where the chartered accountants get a higher salary. What would be your response?
Industry, you'll compare with the industry or the quantum of work that
I told you all that. That's why I'm asking you this question. I told you in the last. Okay, I will give you a lead.
Roles
I
and
told you something.
responsibilities.
Ranking method, I told you all this.
Roles and responsibilities are very different in a support function where finance is acting as support function, and in EY like company where the role of CA will be or more on the auditing part. So the complexity will be different.
Okay. Shankar?
The roles and responsibility which will culminate to the compensable factor, which will totally different. Consultings are different than maybe manufacturing.
So I give it to you.
The impact.
In consulting,
the core job is different of both the industry or the output.
So that's where the CA gets their more money. Okay, I give it to you all. The nature of jobs are different because I may need a CA, but I need a CA who needs different competencies there. Compensable factors are different because I will, if you recall, I told you all in a training institute, I will say that instructional designer is key for me, so I'm going to pay high salary. But I won't need of a high caliber a business analyst or a sales analyst. Okay, so similarly, if I'm recruiting a CA in a finance department, I don't need that guy who's really top.
Yeah.
So therefore, why should I pay that salary when I'm not I'm a great guy and Putti will say, hey, I'm not able to get challenging work. I'm not doing this, and he will go away. I don't need. Say, for example, today in most of the organizations, okay, say for example, engineers. Some organizations like Google or Microsoft need engineers from IITs because their products, their sole product development means they thrive on innovation and creativity. So they know that I'm ready to pay the highest salary for the best guy. But say for example, in an ordinary organization, I don't need IITs. I'll go to tier 3 engineering colleges and get something program. Sorry. So I don't need. Are you seeing the difference? Only when I require that talent. So for example, in your organization, you may be having some critical key strategic roles which make a difference, which are the sole responsibility. I mean, they create that differentiation. They give you that, extra, what is that we call it, that competitive advantage. To give that competitive advantage, like for example, in a pharma company, who's working in a pharma company here? Yeah, R&D guy. If I take a very low, poor competency guy in R&D, will he be able to produce good product for you? So you don't mind paying good salary and getting the best talent. There you will pay high salaries. So my pay policy is dependent on what is important for me. I'll pay lead. What is not important and which is quite available, there is huge supply available in the market, I'll pay on par or even lag, right? But if I say for everybody at a 60th percentile is the wrong thing. Are you getting me, Nagraj? Now the point, how you need to be strategic in terms of for whom you want to pay more and for whom you want to pay. So what are the various things you need to understand? Your positions which are critical for the business. Then for other positions, what is the supply and demand, right? So what is your own criticality? So all these factors play in deciding on pay policy. Then again, I said pay policy is very important. Why? I'm able to then say which markets do I get, what kind of people I need to get, how much salary will I pay? Because when I have to do budgeting, how will I budget if I don't have a pay policy? So pay policy gives you a good understanding of from where to get talent, for how much to get talent, all that. Very clear, guys? Okay.
Ma'am, one point I just want to know, Ruhi here.
Yeah, I can't see you. So Ruhi, yes,
Yeah.
but yes,
Yeah.
I can see your hand.
Okay, yeah. So, ma'am, actually, I just want to know that like domain is also matters in this, because some IT organization, I'm from IT organization, so some IT organization are working in banking, insurance thing, or some are like we are working on the manufacturing and aerospace domain. So that way, the domain also matter for comparison point of view, or it's just a IT industry with the same number of
No. Say for example, domain matters because if you are in a banking finance, BFSC, right? Are you into insurance? Are you into whatever? But also depends on, generally, if you notice, service organizations pitch their salaries a little lower because it is the nature of operation is only servicing. For example, Infosys will never pay 90th percentile and all that. Okay, they will always pay 65. They'll be at 60, 65 overall for few positions maybe. But product development companies who are very good, they'll be pitching it a little higher. Okay. But having said that, you don't have to have the same pay policy for all your positions cutting across the entire organization. Depending on the criticality for your business, depending on how dynamic is your business, right? For example, there is something called Qualcomm, I think. Qualcomm, yeah. Have you heard of IT company called Qualcomm?
Yes.
No, they don't get into internal equity. Okay, why Qualcomm is only using external equity? Because they are into what typically into a lot of product development, etc. So when technologies are changing fast, okay. Now, what was yesterday is obsolete today. Unlike pharma industry, unlike auto industry, unlike for manufacturing industry, which does not change so much. They are quite stable. These industries change little bit,
Right.
in at best what little feature here. But if you see the other IT industries, they change fast. Why do they? So because they change, they need new technologies. So because of that, they can't afford to say, I'm going to pay only this much, depending on the talent supply. So I told you that supply demand, because new talent, new technology, they have to definitely pay very high. Okay. So what I'm actually trying to tell you is, depending on your business, you need to take a call.
Okay. Yeah.
Can we?
Thanks, ma'am. Yeah.
As I said, manufacturing, there's not much of a change, very little change. Yeah, Shankar was saying something.
Yeah, ma'am. When you say a company like Qualcomm, they don't look at internal parity. So what exactly that means? Are you saying people doing a similar kind of a role, the pay gap will be too high between them?
No. When I said they don't do look at internal equity, I said they do purely by external equity market, because their usage of technologies change so much, dynamic, that if they say for a particular technology, I'm going to pay this much, but they can't do that by saying that I'm going to, because it depends again on the demand and supply, talent availability. They're always into new technologies. So as you know, that new technology means that the supply will be very less. So if I'm not able to pay more, then I won't get that niche technology. But once the technology becomes abundant in the market, then they will look at, so they are going purely by market, demand and supply. Did you understand, Shankar, my point?
Yeah. So because we are saying the kind of skill set that is required is very unique, maybe I will simply go by what is there in the market.
But what I'm trying to say, having said that, don't get this assumption again that base salaries for, say, for typical technologies will remain the same, because if I'm actually touching the base salaries, then my pay, designing of pay structures will go haywire. Are you getting me? So when I'm talking about market, so they keep it in such a way that they're assured guaranteed salaries. Say, for example, out of the entire total cost, I will say 40%, 50% will be base. Okay. Topping it, then I will be adding various things, because if the market is fluctuating a lot. Got it? Don't you think if I'm going to give a very high base, and just because that particular technology is very hot now, and after 3 years, the supply of that technology, as you know, in India, like for example, analytics, there was a short of supply earlier, but now plenty. So when the supply is more, then organization will suffer a great loss.
Of course, yeah. Of course it will.
Therefore, you have to preempt, because once I pay you guaranteed income, I can't say today I'm going to reduce your income.
I can't roll it back.
I can't roll it back at all.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Can we continue, guys? Quick. Okay. Now, the next thing you need to look at
besides revenue, when we are looking at a comparable market, besides the revenue factor, or let's say at best maybe geographical presence, is there anything else that I should look at?
So typically when I say, so what I will do is, I will say, if I'm one very, very basic thing, I'm dividing this organization to low, middle and top. Okay. A pyramid, low, middle and top. Everybody understands? Lower level, middle level, top level. It can have still further back. At a lower level, I'm hiring typically from a local level. Say if I'm having an industry development center in Kochi, at a lower level, I'm essentially looking at resources, workforce only from local level. Okay. But if I'm going to look at data at a national level, do you think it will be appropriate?
Of course not. It will not.
I have to look at local. But if I'm hiring, where am I hiring from? And where am I losing to? So middle level, I'm hiring from Pan India. And my people are also going Pan India because I need different. So I have to look at Pan India data. At a top level, global data. Does it help you to do a little bit? So I also have to look at from where am I getting people for that particular bands, and from to whom am I losing my people? Got it?
Okay.
Because you may be the similar industry, but not necessary that your skill sets also can be used by other industries.
Yes.
Okay. So I also need to look at that kind of a data.
Does the talent acquisition strategy, like whether I want to build, buy, or I want to borrow, will that also have an impact on this? Because there are organizations which maybe like if I look at a new IT company which is there in Kerala, which typically Zoho. So typically they are based out of Kochi, and then they hire local engineers and they try to build them. So they buy cheap, they build them, they actually invest a lot.
Like this. There is nothing like one principle holding good for all the time to come. It all depends on your life cycle of the organization. Okay? I'm not saying that your pay policy is always sacrosanct, watertight. It's going to stay good for all the times to come. Nothing is sacrosanct. For example, as you said, build by strategy, Infosys. What does it do? It says that it goes and recruits people from the campuses.
Absolutely, yes.
So why, and it gets much lesser salary as in compared to competitors. Correct. And what is their brand mantra? Branding. What do they do? Branding. They say we will build. What is build? We will help you with the technologies, new projects. So I, as a person who has passed out from campus, will say, I don't mind getting less salary, but right now I only have one degree, engineering degree. I want to learn. What's the point? I will have money, but I don't even know what to do. So what is that? Their readiness to do a job is only 60% or 50%. They only know theory. So they put them into that factory, where in Infosys Mysore for 3 months and 6 months, they are preparing them, investing in them. Is that not money?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Exactly.
So the readiness, it is not plug and play. So when I want plug and play like a small organization, which is typically, I will say, a mom and pop shops, then I need somebody who has all the skill sets, who's ready to just perform. Then obviously I need to pay more.
Yeah.
Am I in that kind of a mode, only buying, or am I in a build and buy? I'm a large organization. I will have bench strength. So I won't even pay hot skill allowance. I will continuously. So what I'm saying, compensation strategy alone will not, it has to be integrated with all the other systems and procedures, so that this synergy will be there and it will give you a much more effectiveness. Got it? So it is not just standalone compensation strategy. If I say build and buy strategy, build strategy, or both buy and build strategy, or borrow means outsourcing, ready-made people I will take, and I'm not going to have them on my, full-time employees. I will only get work done, depending on what is suiting you, right? Depending on what kind of work are you delivering, what is my customer value proposition? Are you getting me? What is that you're promising to the customer? If you are promising lower cost, efficiency, like Amazon, if I'm saying anywhere, anytime, anything, my strategy has to be very different. No, I can't have one strategy only. I'll have different kind of people. I can also borrow, like all these people who deliver at any time at your doorstep. They're all delivery channel partners who work as portfolio workers. Getting me? Much lesser cost, and their variable pay, their packages are very, very different. No? Are you with me now? Okay. Yeah. So what we are going to learn typically in a salary survey, when we do this quartiles, deciles, median, upper quartiles, and all that, we will help you to calculate how we are going to do that. And then typically you will get data like this. Say, for example, I'm looking at total guaranteed cash, or I'm saying you can also look at, so this was total remuneration and this is total guaranteed cash. So before I compare, I will say, hey, this report, how do they define total guaranteed cash? Because if they're adding something and which I'm not adding, there might be difference. So first I will go back to the report and say, how are they defining total guaranteed cash? What are those things, components they are adding in this, so that I can compare. Got it? Okay, now let's just get back to, before I show you this, okay, 1 second. Okay, guys. So just to do a little recap, because you quickly, one is we talked about in external equity that we need, it is essentially to define our pay policy based on the availability of talent, and also to understand what is the market paying, so that I know exactly that I'm not just throwing money on the table and I'm actually paying, pitching myself vis-a-vis comparable with the market, because ultimately I want to attract from the market. Now, having said that, then we looked at what we looked at. Step 1, identifying benchmark positions. Step 2, matching with the job description. Step 3, set of similar industries from where I need to get data. Now, this is all easy. And what kind of a data will I collect? All the pay data, right? All the pay data in terms of base. In the first slide, I showed you components of a salary. So you could do indirect, direct, that is everything related with the cash and everything related with the non-cash. Like you can say base salaries, you can talk about variable pays, you can talk about deferred pays, then you can talk about benefits, perquisites, everything, and even leaves, etc. Now, having said that, the real challenge, all this is comparably a little easier. The real challenge is, how do I then, because you speak the language of percentiles when you're talking about external equity, when you're comparing, how do you do that? Do anybody who has an idea? No, good. So, for example, please listen to me carefully. I put this before itself so that I have listed companies A to Q. Okay, how many companies are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 14 companies here. Okay, I want to know, say for example, I'm a startup company. I want to recruit a software engineer. All right. Now I have decided that I'm a service company and I want to pay around the 75th percentile. Now, if I ask Preeti, how much salary do I pay? How will I know? What will I do?
How many people are below 75% or at 70%?
Not how many people.
Of the market.
First of all, I have to get data.
Or how many positions.
First of all, I have to go to similar companies, right? And get data, because I don't know how much to pay. I'm clueless. I'm the HR head. How do I pay? Shankar, what will you
do? Maybe some average of that, and then how much I really want to put it, depending on, as I said, whether it is 50% or 80%.
Step 1, what will I do?
Collecting the data from the similar peer group.
Exactly. I have to have data, no? If I don't have data, how will I come to 75th percentile?
Absolutely.
So here, say for example, these are all companies A, B, C, D, Q. And I've collected what market data from similar industries for a software engineer. Got it? Entry-level software engineer, entry-level software. So A company pays 22,000 per month. Q company pays 19,000 per month. M company pays 17,900 per month. Got it? This is your data. Now I said data typically for a market data, what do you do? First of all, how will you then know which is your 75th percentile? So when you want to compare, you are putting it into a percentile. Like for example, if I say 50th percentile, it's nothing but how many companies are equal companies up and below you, right? Which is called a median. Now, how will you do that? Excel gives you a very interesting thing to calculate. Okay. Now, this data, you need to know which is your 75th percentile. So, how will you do that? So simple. I'll just put here. So, Okay. So to get that percentile, are you seeing something called percent rank? Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'll say percent rank. And then I will say, okay. What is it asking for? Array. Array is nothing but your data. So data is from here. Done? Now, you want to know at a particular X, what is the percentile? Okay. Now I want to know this 22,000 at what percentile is it? I'm clicking on this. Okay. And then I will say, okay. What is it given? 0.769.
77%.
So 76 percentile. So even if I just do this, okay, and then drag it like this, I will get all the percentiles. Now I want to ask you guys, which is the highest company here?
C company.
I'll ask J. Because
C
he's
company.
very quiet. Huh?
Yeah, it's C company.
Great, great, great. That is the 100%. Which is the lowest company which is paying?
I.
I. Great, great. Now that you have understood how to do what will you do? Percent rank. Preeti, you know how to do now?
Ma'am, I've understood it. I'm just trying to rephrase a few points. Like when percentile you're calculating basis the organizations that
You're breaking a little.
Hello, is it audible, ma'am?
Now you are audible. Huh?
Yeah. So I'm saying these companies that we are taking is comparable companies, right?
Right.
Yeah. Where so percentile is basis where we stand from that company, or it's only those comparable companies that we take.
Preeti, I'm losing you in between. One thing I could understand is that are you using the data for similar? Okay, you switch off your video and then speak. Huh?
Ma'am, what I'm trying to say is this 75th percentile or this percentile is vis-a-vis our company also we look at, or it's really the comparable
I got it.
companies
I
that
got your question. I got your question. What was my first question, Shankar? My question is, I am a new company by the name of Nalvade and Pharmaceuticals. I am actually wanting to recruit a entry-level software engineer. I don't know how much to pay, but typically I want to pay, my pay policy is, okay, I want to fix a salary at a 75th percentile of the market.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how much to pay.
Correct.
Right now. I'll give you the other version also. I don't know how much to pay. Right now, I don't know how much to pay. My pay policy is I want to do 75th percentile of the market.
Yeah.
Now, A to Q companies are the comparator companies, the market from which I got the data. Out of the data, I was able to find out the highest company is 34,100th percentile and the zero. I want to pay at 75th percentile. Now, if I want to pay 75th percentile, how will I find out? To see.
Percent rank is something that you have used.
Now, I'll show you now. So, I'm clicking here. Okay. So, what will I do? All right. What am I going to do? Percentile. Then, okay. Again, it's asking for array.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how much I want to pay? 75th percentile. So, 0.75. All right. How much I need to pay?
21,500.
I'll show you again simple. Say, for example, I'm putting here. I want to pay what is not here. I will do that. Let us say 80th percentile. Okay. What will I do?
Percentile.
Okay. Okay.
0.88. Yeah.
What will I do?
0.88.
I will do
8.
0.80. All right. So once I do 0.80, I will say, okay. How much is it?
22.
22,000. Preeti, did you get me now? Thumbs up, give me a thumbs up. Now, I will do the second version. Now, I'm a company who is paying how much? Just for example, I'm a company who's paying, say 15,000. Okay? Huh? Now, I'm a company who's paying 15,000 and I want to pay 80th percentile. What will I do?
22,000.
So from 15,000, I have to come up to
22.
20,000. For example, if I'm a company who's paying 14,000, okay, and I want to pay, say for example, 75th percentile, what will I do then? I'll have to increase my salary. Are you now very clear, guys?
But ma'am, how do we define what percentile we want to pay? It's just internal strategy.
So pay policy.
Percentile is totally an internal strategy which depends on some factors. A, your own affordability. Okay. B, your criticality of that position. Because if it is very, very critical and I will say I will pay only 50th percentile or 60th percentile, will you be able to attract a talent? Will Lina join that organization? So, depending on the criticality. Okay. Then 3, depending on the supply demand for that criticality. The supply may be the demand, the talent in the talent pool, there may be a very shortage of supply, but for you that position is not so critical. Will you then pay very high salary? Okay. Then again, depending on what kind of a pay policy you have defined in terms of where you want to grow, etc., etc. Okay. Then attrition. There are positions which you are not filling up for 6 months, 12 months. The business hiring manager is saying, what, madam, what are we doing? Everybody is going away. We are not getting talent. Then you will revisit, you will do market survey for that positions and say, hey, we better do, what is this market? Is it paying? They're going up? No? Are you clear, Lina?
Yes, yes. Yes, ma'am.
So it's not just one factor. There are several factors you need to look into. But is this very clear? This is the analytic part of it. Whenever you get data, how do you analyze your data? Okay? Shankar,
yeah.
Very clear?
Yeah.
Quite easy. Percentile and percent ranking. Pratishruti, you are also clear about it? Okay, because you will get some data to do. Yeah.
Ma'am, Preeti here. The
Yeah,
best
Preeti.
practice for normal scenario. The best practice for normal scenario. What is the percentile that the market is, barring this criticality and affordability request for certain positions? On an average, what's the best practice been followed for where all these issues and all these parameters are not considered?
Yeah, I'm coming to that. Preeti, the best practice, one second. So this is understood. Let us go back to quickly. 1 second. I'll respond to your question. I could hear some, I couldn't hear some, but quickly. So once you have understood this, let me just. Okay. Now your question is very, very relevant. So what you are saying is, what is the best practice? Now the best practice cannot operate in isolation. See, ultimately, as an organization, are you just buildings and walls and technology and if you are manufacturing raw materials, machinery? No, you need people, and these people will be in the market. They are in working in different organizations, right? So obviously, if you have to see that in similar organizations, how much are they paying, right? So you can't be paying at a 25th percentile or a 50th percentile when, you know, in your peer organizations for that position, they are paying that much of amount. Are you getting me, Ruhi? I think it was Ruhi or somebody who asked me, huh? So you are not operating in isolation. Ultimately, you want people from the market. You want to attract talent. For example, typically you will say for HR and what is it, finance, the support functions, you have a lot of talent, especially for the organizations where they are in support, supportive nature. So you don't have to exactly be at a highest percentile. You can pay them between 60th and 75th percentile. Okay. Say for example, please look at this data. Say for example, having clarified on total guaranteed cash, what those factors are. In my organization, senior vice president, okay, I'm paying a salary of 35 lakhs. This is a little outdated salary. Where do you think I am? Anybody? I will ask Jay now. Where am I? Between which percentile I am in the market?
Between 50 to 75.
Exactly. I'm here between 50 to 75. Now, this is the data you have. Somebody, I think Ruhi or somebody asked me, was that Ruhi? Now, this position is very critical for me. Okay. And I also have a challenge to retain that talent. It is not like, you know, this talent can come in 2 years, it can attract, because it's a top position. I want this talent to be there for a longer time. So I will say, hey, I definitely need him between 75th and 90th. Maybe I will check what is the 80th percentile, and I will move that position from this 35 lakhs to 80th percentile. I'm moving the position. Okay. What am I saying? I'm moving the position salary to a 80th percentile. Now, please, clearly, I want you to clearly understand that I'm moving the position. Doesn't mean that maybe I want the person who's right now the incumbent at that salary to iterate. I don't mind, but I will now hire a better talent and give him that higher salary. Correct? It doesn't mean that when I'm increasing the salary, I'm increasing it for Shankar. I'm increasing it on my pay structure. But I still can, the option is still there, because maybe I want to get rid of some people who are actually deadwood and not. I don't want to, deadwood also I keep giving off more salary. I'm only throwing money on the table. So I want to improve my salaries and then get better people who are, you know, having better competencies and give them. For example, even when I'm making a market correction, I'm only moving that median as per the market, but doesn't mean that I'm pushing all the people who are there at a lower salary and giving them the new salaries. Are you with me?
I have one question.
Yes, Jay.
So this percentile is defined on a organization level or at a position level, or if we want to pay a 50th percentile or 75th percentile, so is it decided at an organization level for all the positions?
Okay.
Or we can.
I'm sure some of you also must be having that, right? I'm sure most of you must. First of all, let me give you a clarification. When I say percentile, have you heard of CAT exam or a MAT exam or any exam? What does it mean, percentile means? What is the difference between percentage and percentile?
So percentile is the person who has reached at the, so the any incumbent who is at the highest percentage, say 98 or 95%, so what is the percentage of to reach that highest percentage? So if I have got 75%, so what is 75 of 98%?
No. So simple, it is not so. For example,
internal percentage is internal, percentile is external.
So you have to understand
Absolute
very
and
clear
relative.
two things, simple statistics. Percentage is absolute. When I said absolute, what does it mean? Lina got 80%. That means she got 80% of marks per 100. That's her mark in history or in maths. J gets 90%. That means 90 marks out of 100 for a certain subject, which is absolute. So I have compared you with what, J? Out of, you got 90 out of
100.
100. So what is your comparator? 100.
100.
Numerator, denominator, right? Huh? So you got 90 out of 100. Is that very clear?
Yes.
You got 90 out of
100.
But when I say percentile, now the comparator could be thousands. Okay, it doesn't matter. But when I say percentile, say for example, I'm saying 90th percentile. That means you got 90th percentile marks, say CAT exam, 90th percentile, forget about market data. That means what? 89 people are below you, okay, and 10 people are above you. Got it? That means that entire thousands and thousands of population has been compressed and saying that it has got into its relative. So 10 people are above you and 89 people are below you.
Clusters of
But
people.
depending on the data, depending on that, whatever data you have collected, say if in the 1,000 people, all were very clever, then what will happen? That means fantastic marks they would have got. But if all the people were really dullards, that data will vary. But here in percentage, it is fixed 100 marks, 90 IR, right? So percentile will refer to what kind of people actually gave the exam. So here also, what kind of data you collected. Got it? You are I'll just quickly, okay. So depending on, if you go back to that entry level software, depending on that data we collected, 22,000, 30,000, 40,000, your 100 could be 50,000 also, 60,000 also, depending on what data you collected, and your 0 could be also very high. But in that data, that is the lowest.
Correct. Yeah.
Very clear now? Shankar,
Yes.
Are you very clear now? Yeah, Shankar
So,
has a point.
can this percentile be fixed at an organization, or we can vary to a position then?
That is now the next thing we are coming to. Okay, first you have to understand percentile. Percentile clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now
One question, ma'am.
Yeah, that question I'm responding to, but you can ask me that question. Yeah.
Okay, so there is one thing, like even let's say software engineer, I try to look at where my guy is compared to the market. That is one thing that we looked at. Also, when I look at software engineers within my own organization, do I also do that kind of a mapping wherein, let's say, currently the guy who has come, where is he compared to his own peers? Whether he is at 80th percentile or 90th percentile, or where is he? Because when I hire someone, internally I have a grid from min, max, mid. So then I try to sit where this guy I really want to put into in this particular grid also. So do I use this factor?
Don't get mixed up with this. I'm here creating a framework. I'm not creating anybody. I'll come to that as a follow-up. Shankar, where Shankar is coming from outside. So where to fit Shankar, I will come to that. First, create a grid. Now I want to respond to that question. Organization, I will compare 50th percentile or what it is. What is organization? It will have different bands or different grades, right? So take for simple 5 grades, huh? Or we'll take 3 grades only now, low, middle, top. Okay, very clear? Now, every grade will have job grading unit, number of positions. Okay. Now, I'm saying for all those positions, when I'm collecting data, okay, Now, if you see this data at an organization level, they have given data for all the positions across the organization. Got it? That means what? When I did market survey or when I did salary survey data, I looked at 65 positions across different job functions, okay, and collected data from 25 companies and then analyze them and put it into, because every company will have different kind of a data. So depending on what we call it as job equivalence, that means taking into consideration the job description, the designation, everything. I have looked at everything, standardized everything, made it into apples to apples, and I have collected the data into a format which is readable called what? Percentiles. Got it? Now I can read this data from the data which is a 10th percentile, which is a 90th percentile. When I say 10th percentile means 90, what is it? 10 companies are below and 90 companies are paying high. Is this now very clear for you? Jay and Shankar, everybody who said organization and percentile, that means organization will have positions. All the position data has been collected, then analyzed and put it into a format which is called percentile format. Got it? Now percentile can also be quartile, can also be decile. What is it? What is quartile? When I divide this data into 4 quartiles, 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100. Clear? What is decile when I divide it into 10 parts? 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60. Got it? Percentile is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very clear, guys? Typically, 50th is your midpoint or median. Most of the organizations will pay anything above 50, because if you pay between 25 and 50, no, you can't get people at all. You can't get people at all. Are you with me? Okay, because if you check, actually, there may be such few companies who are paying below that. But if you have collected great data from great companies, even the 10th percentile data could be very high. I hope you know that now, right? That means the data can be as high or as low depending on from where you have gathered data. Shankar, very clear? Okay. Now, having said that, I said then, looking at your own positions, you can decide lead, lag, and on par for position by position. That's one. You can also decide on function by function, looking at what kind of functions you want to pay really very high, what kind of functions you want to pay very. The third, you can also look at low, middle, and top, saying that at a low, I want to pay on par, and a middle, maybe I will just say, at a low, lag, and middle on par, and lead for top. Are you with me? So you can take a slice of any combinations, but how will you decide? Lena was asking me one question, depending on what is important to your strategy, what is critical in order to achieve your business objectives, because your compensation philosophy, your compensation pay policy have to be aligned with business objectives. If they are not aligned, because ultimately what is it, in order to accomplish, in order to achieve business objectives, you need people. So you don't need people of equal talent or equal caliber for different levels, for different kind of functions and different strategic positions. So in order to do that, you will have different kinds of pay policy. Very clear, guys, now? I mean, I try to kind of tell you that you don't look at everything as one fixed solution for everything, right? It will be a combination of pay policies and combination of compensation strategies depending on your business objective, because business objective is your guiding star. That's the North Pole which will guide you, because ultimately if you don't get people, the right kind of people, then you are not going to achieve business objectives. Your CEO is not going to say, I mean, why are you not, I mean, it may be okay, you are saying, I'll pay less money and get people, but ultimately if they can't produce and if they can't perform, he will say, what's the point? You better pay more and get better people. Yeah, Preeti.
Ma'am, just going back to Shankar's question itself, strategy from if the organization is having disparate compensation range within the organization and has never done benchmarking, so there is distorted internal parity as well. So, does it make sense for an organization to first go for internal parity, achieving internal parity, and then going for external benchmark?
Yeah, so I told you that by and large, most of the organizations actually do not operate in such huge dynamics except for some key technologies. So by and large, does your finance function change so much? Does your support functions change so much? Okay, so by and large, they don't. So what happens? Obviously, you will do internal equity. You will do the internal equity now, but sometimes what happens, then you will get market data, but depending on your own criticality, you can always say, I'm going to pay a little higher for this position because this is very critical for me. Got it? So it is a combination of what we did in point method, internal equity, external equity, and you use a regression to say how much, because regression is something which will throw up that pay line where any point on that pay line will give you a corresponding salary for the corresponding job points. Okay, Jay? Jay, you are thinking so much. Okay, what we will do is we'll take a quick short break before you do an assignment. Take 10-minute bio break. I think all of you need after, thinking so much. Take a quick 11:30. Can we come back by 11:40?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you.